Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a jig and how to engrave keychains. And I've got two different ones here. I've got round and rectangular, and I'm going to make a jig that'll fit both of them. We can do up to 9 of each at any given time in this particular jig. Or if you just only have one, you can obviously expand the jig to fit your needs. But let's get into Lightburn, show you how I made it, show you how we can cut it out, show how we can get repeatability on your laser, and we'll just get moving right along. So what I have right now is I have a piece of 1/8 inch plywood that is 320 wide by 300 high. And I'm going to turn that right into a tool layer. So that is the size of my plywood that I'm working with to make my jig out of. Now, in my laser, I have an L-shaped fence, and you'll see it here in a minute, where for repeatability, I can place my workpiece in there and put it against the corner of the L, and every time I place the jig in there, it's going to be in the exact same place. That's the easiest way if you can do that. If you have some way of getting a repeatable positioning on your fence that doesn't move in reference to your laser. And I think it's a little bit easier on a CO2 because you've got the frame is all kind of encompassed, where on a diode laser, especially if you're using a honeycomb, the honeycomb tends to shift around and things like that. So if you can find a way to affix a fence to your laser frame so that doesn't move, that is the ideal way to do it. But I'm also going to add some targets onto this jig so that we can use a print and cut feature with it if you don't have the ability to have a repeatable fence. So let's get started by looking at our keychains. And first thing we have to do is measure them, and go back up here. So I've got a measure here, and these are 54 by 31, looks like. Our rectangle needs to be 31 wide and 54 tall. And I'm also going to need, because we have the part where the key ring hangs into, that is wider. See that? See how that goes? We need to cut out a space for that in the jig as well. And I determined that to be about a 10 by 10. Let me make another square here. 10 by 10. Right. And that's actually going to be on a cut layer. Let's see why I did what I did there. I'm going to shift, select, move that center here against there. Now right against, I want to move it up 10 millimeters, which is one click. And then I want to duplicate this and put that on a cut layer. There, select that, and weld them together. So now you see I have a cut layer with the 10 by 10 for the ringlet, and I also have this tool layer. Turn that off. That's just the size of the shape. This will be used for framing your graphics later on, and this will be used to cut out the initial shape. We're going to select them both, and let's move this over. Move this down here to the corner. I'll move it up about 10 millimeters and over about 10 millimeters. Then we'll bring up our array tool, and we're going to go 2, 3, and that's too far apart. And I'm using center to center distance. That may come in handy if you have to repeat multiple ones. Go about 45, and then so reverse direction going up. Okay, that's too tall. Let's go about 95. Okay. Now we have an array with nine keychains ready to be cut out. And we have our tool layer behind it, which we'll come back to in a little bit. Now we need to make our round ones. Measure those again. Those are 38. Let's see. 39 looks like. I'll make them 39 just to be safe. Okay. And I'm going to duplicate that. Put it on a tool layer. Hide that for right now. I need to do the same thing here. I need a 10 by 10 square. Put that on a cut layer. Put that over here. Select this. Shift. Boom. Okay. And then move it up 10 millimeters. And then I'm going to drag it down. You see how it's just touching at the top point? I'm going to drag it down so it's just past. And weld these two together. Then I can turn my tool layer back on. So I select all those. Bring this down here. And same thing. About 10 by 10. Bring your array tool up. And I'm going to reverse direction this way so it goes towards it. Yeah, it's too tight. I'm going to make this. Make that 60. Go. Go. That'll work good. Okay. So now we have the outline of our plywood. We have all the shapes we need to cut out for our keychains. And we have a tool layer for framing later. That's good. Now the only other thing we need to do is add a target. And I'll show you. I have a target already saved, but I'm going to show you how to make one. I like 10 millimeters, so I'll do like a 10 millimeter circle. And then I'm going to take a line. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's going on. I'm going to see how to change this to a crosshair. Do that. Click. Hold shift and drag across. Click. Right click to release it. Go up here to the top center. Shift. Drag down. Click again. Okay. Now we have a crosshair, and just to be sure, I'm going to do everything and bullseye it. Nothing moved. So I'm going to group it together. And this will be on an engraved layer. So I'm going to take, let's see, pop it down here in this corner. Safe spot. There's a nice safe spot. Duplicate it and drag it up here. And drop that guy up in this corner. And when you're making targets for a cut and print, you want to have the targets as far apart from each other as you can for the best alignment. Now the other thing I want to do here is I want to add some text. Put this top. Put that on the engrave layer. And just kind of center it here. Shift click. Center. Now I do want to make some other marks on here. I need to edit my array. It was 60x95y. Okay. 60x95y. And it does not need to be that large, so bump it down a little bit. That's good. And what were these? I think these were 95y also. They were 45x. And if that's not correct, I'll fix it here in just a second. Let's go measure here to there. It's 45. There to there is 95. Okay, that is correct. A smarter person would have written that down so you don't have to go back. But now, what that does for you is if you go back in, if you have multiples of the same item, and you want to just do like a virtual array, that way you know what your settings are going to be for the virtual array. So let's get my things in order here. My cut, I want it at the very last. Score, let's see, for a score. Score, assign. I already have these values assigned. Yeah, I did. Okay. Okay. All right, so I have everything assigned for the laser. Now let's go out to the laser itself. I'll show you the fence, how I have that set up. And we'll go ahead and cut this out, and then I'll show you what we got to do next. So here I have the plywood against the back fence. You can see there that's what's against on the back at the 0 mark, and the little L piece is at the 650 mark on my machine. I'm framing it out, and then we're just going to go ahead and run the job and make all the marks, the targets, and the text, and then cut out for the key fobs. So I'll speed it up here so we can move on with life. And I'll put the jig back in and position a couple of key fobs in there. Make sure that it's positioned tightly against the fence for positioning. And I just need to adjust the focus now because the key fobs sit proud to the jig because they're thicker. Do that real quick. And then we'll go back into Lightburn and get set up to do the engraving. With the jig cut out, we can get rid of the red layer. We don't need that anymore. Let me just go shift there and delete. Okay. And everything else we're going to turn into a tool layer. And let's see, we need to ungroup these things so we can use the individual shapes for our framing purposes. Okay, so everything tool layer, I'm going to select all this. Right click and choose lock selected shapes. Now nothing can be moved. No matter what you try and do, you can't move anything. Alright, so we'll go into material or art library rather. I'm going to take the nurse, put that, center it in here. Bullseye. Now if you look, it doesn't look quite centered. I'm going to drag it down just a little bit because even though the geometric center of the graphic is in the center, it doesn't look centered according to the circle. I'm going to do that, just eyeball where that looks good. And then we're going to go over here with, let's see, Army Mom. And hit the period key to rotate at 90 degrees. Sit that in here. Shift. And center that also. Yeah, it's right there. Good. Okay. So we have these two. Then I need to go to my beach, assign. Okay, that's the right setting now for those Beechwood key fobs. And yeah, this one's in that position, that one's in that position. They're centered. Just go ahead and start it. And I didn't start recording on that camera before I hit the start button, so we're a couple seconds in. But let me just run it through at high speed, and we'll show you the finished product at the end. And here you have the nice nurse keychain and the army mom. Now I'm going to pull the jig out and set it down somewhere in the bed and show you how to do the print and cut feature. I'm moving the laser head over to the first target and pulsing the laser till I can get the laser and the target lined up perfectly, and then we'll go into Lightburn to finish up. One of the most important parts is you want to be sure that the jig doesn't move after you've gotten the first target set up. Anything else that has happened now has to happen with the arrow keys. I'm just going to load these key fobs on, flip them over and load them in these two different positions and show you how we get that all set up for the print and cut. Back in Lightburn, we can delete these items. Click it and delete that, and go to art library again, and let's see, I'm going to put the rose in this one right here. Bullseye. That had an extra tool layer around it when I saved it. I don't need that. That looks good. Let me hold down the command key so I can get granular movements here. That's good. And then over here, I'm going to put a name on the back side of the army mom. Put that on a fill layer, rotate it, shrink it down. Center it up, and I make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. Now these two are in those positions, and we just need to set up our print and cut. So to enable print and cut, we go up to laser tools, print and cut, and we'll start the wizard. And I'm going to select this target and hit set. So now that's where I moved the laser head to and aligned it with that target. And like I said, make sure that the jig does not move from this point. Then I'm going to come down here to the bottom corner and select this target and use the button that says jog, and that'll jog the laser head over to that position. And then we'll go out to the laser and using the arrow keys on the laser, get it lined up and lined up properly with this position here. Then I'll come back in and set that target. Okay, come down just a touch. Pulse. Maybe a little bit more, huh? That's good. That's good. Okay. We're where we need to be. I'll hit set. And we're going to use not scaled because this was created all in Lightburn. There's no scaling needed. And we've got our target set. It says print and cut is enabled down here. Let's just go on our laser and hit start. And there's our Corbin and our rose. Now for a bonus tip. If you don't change the print and cut and you don't move your jig You can keep going like this for as many as you want to do, honestly. But the bonus is we're going to take now this rows, get rid of that, get rid of that. I'm going to show you how to use a virtual array to create multiples of the same item. Just grab this a nice round one here, and I'm going to go to this corner here, and select that, bullseye, take a look. That's beautiful. I'd rather be fishing right in the center. Now say we want to do 9 of these. So we're going to need to reverse direction again, and reverse direction here. And remember what we wrote in here, 60 by 95. So we got 60 and 95, and I'm going to make this a virtual array. And we'll call that good. Now if you look at it, I'm going to get that out of the way. If you look at it here, this is the only one that you can do anything with it. The rest of them are not even, well, they show up, but they're grayed out. And if you look at them close, they got these black lines around them, black dashes. That's indicating that this is part of a virtual array. What's kind of cool about this is, say now I did something different. I want to rotate it 90 degrees. I just hit the period key. I rotate the top one, and they all change. Now they're all upside down, and bring them back to same. But let's say that I wanted to, I don't know, for whatever reason, let's just add a hexagon here. Let's say I wanted to add a hexagon. Let's make it big. This is stupid, but let's do it anyhow. I'm going to put a hexagon right there. I'm going to center it. Okay, so that's centered. And I mean, we'll look at it. It's only on the first one. It's not on the rest of them. Well, that's because we didn't add it to the array. The way you have to do that is you click on the item you just added, click on anything else that's in the array, and shift click on it. Then you right click and choose add to array. And now that just got added to all the rest of them. I say that's kind of a dumb thing to do in this particular graphic, but just showing that that's easy enough to do. Let's undo that. Let's get rid of that hexagon. That's dumb. Now we want to get rid of the array. Right click on it. We can flatten the array, and that makes them also their individual pieces again. You could just change one out if you wanted to. Or undo. We can duplicate the array. And now I've got a complete duplicate of it. We can edit the array. We could change the spacing on it if we wanted to. Obviously we don't want to, but what else can we do here? And we can exit the array. That makes the array go away. So now we decide we want to do a different. Let's talk over coffee. We want to do all these. Center them. That needs to shrink down just a little bit. Hit the array tool. And we really say we only want to do 3 of them. So we only want to do the top row. That's fine. You don't have to do a bunch of them. We want to add a little drop inside this cup. Well, remember, it's not in there. It's only in this first one. So we have to shift click on something that's part of the array, right click on it, add to array, and now it shows up on the other 2. If we click the preview, we only have 3 of them, but the little dots in all of them. And same thing if we want to do one in the we want to do one here. Center it. Array. 3 by 3. Well, these don't work out because they're not the same. The spacing is different. We can change this spacing to our 45. And now they're all lined up properly. So just that simple. I mean, if you want to put a little angle on them, so they're all, but they would all be the same, because whatever you do to one, it does to all of them. So anyway, here's the finished products. Our nurse with the rose on the back side of it, and our army mom with the name on the back side. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to my channel. Any comments on this? I'd love to start a dialogue with you. Put the comments down in the comment section. So, appreciate your time. Hope you found this valuable. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next time.